Yo, what's going on, everyone? What's good? It's a 15 minutes a game here, and we're doing our MLB edition. So we have, of course, some Dodger talk coming for you because we're all LA guys here. But first, since the season's kind of underway here, we're about 3 or 4 weeks in. I got a question for you guys. If you were starting a franchise right now, and there's a lot of great young talent in the league, we know that. And it can be a pitcher, it can be a player that plays in the field. Who would be the guy that you would start your franchise around? Now, this is including their age right now. So I'm not saying you could take Mike Trout at 21. So right now, if you got to pick a player, if we were all drafting a team, who would you take with that first pick? Steve?
Make Julian go first.
You got it, Steve. You got it, please.
I just want to see if he's
okay, I'll go.
A homer.
Yeah, this was a tough one, honestly. It was just between two LA guys, Trout and Betts.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with Betts. I'll start around Betts. Just because of what he's proven and what he's done at the Red Sox, and then moving to LA, not missing a beat, not missing a skip, joining a dominant team and just joining in fluently and just winning that World Series. And you see what he does on the defensive end and what he can do with the bats. And as we've seen with the Dodgers this year, if he's not leading off, offense is kind of stagnant, trying to look for that extra boost. So I like Mookie to be my franchise guy.
He's got rings, so you can't argue with that.
Yeah, I have my list of 3 guys that I really love, but I wouldn't pick, and Mookie's on that list because we're talking with the age. We're not talking, when they were 21, like you said. So I got Mookie, Trout, and DeGrom. They're all eliminated. Trout's 29, DeGrom's 32, Mookie's 28. So it was tough, man. I love your questions. So I got 4 guys down. Juan Soto is 22. Tatis is 22. Acuna Jr. is 23. And Biebs is 25. So
Shane Bieber.
Yeah, I really wanted to throw a pitcher in there. If DeGrom was 5 years younger, I'd put him in, like, hands down. So those are my 4 guys, and if you put a gun to my head, I'd pick Ronald Acuna Jr. Career 286, 376 on base percentage, 272 runs, 88 homers, 210 RBIs, 64 stolen bases. He had an off year last year, but a lot of people did because, it wasn't a full season, and a lot of times it takes these guys 30 games to catch up. So, yeah, I didn't not pick Tatis because he's a Padre. More so I picked him because of his injuries. So, as we see, I just shut the Dodger game off behind me, but he's got 5 home runs against them and not even
3 games,
not even 3 full games. So who knows what else he's going to do. So it's not that I don't want to pick him. That's the only thing I worry about. Yeah. So that's who I would go with.
Man, I want to disagree with you, Steve. And nope. Julie, you made some great points though about Mookie because yeah, he's a winner. And all I've heard out of when he was in Boston and also in LA is that he's a leader, and that's something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But for me, I'm going with Ronald Acuna Jr. as well. Before this guy got hurt, man, he was just tearing the cover off the ball. And it seemed like his bat speed and everything else that goes along with his plate discipline, like it was just unquestioned. He was covering balls on the outside edges and still hammering them out to left field. So on top of that, this year he's batting 394. He's got the most homers or tied for in the league with 7, and he's second in OPS. So for me, I'm going to go with Acuna, and I think I'd also just like an outfielder just because I think they kind of make more plays with balls getting hit out that way even more than ever now with obviously launch angle and all that good stuff. So I'm going with Acuna. I'm agreeing with you, Steve.
Nice, man.
That's what I'm starting my franchise with.
I got you want to hear his 162 game average? He would average 43 homers, 103 ribbies, and 31 stolen bases. So
beast.
And he's 23. So it's pretty solid.
Brave.
The other guys you picked too, though, were right up there. Soto.
Oh, exactly.
And
Tatis.
who else? Tatis, yeah, of course.
Yeah, even
Dang.
Bieber.
Bieber.
Yeah, Bieber won the Cy last year. He's his 162 game average, he'd be 17-8 every year, with 270 Ks. So, and I feel if you put him on a squad like the Dodgers, he'd be 20-5 or something like that. So
for sure, yeah, he never lose a game.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our franchise picks there. Those are our guys, Mookie and two Ronald Acuñas. So let's switch it up, go to a little LA baseball. We're all hyped here on the Dodgers, obviously best record in baseball. And we just took out the Padres in their house. And as we're recording this show, we're still playing them. So hopefully we can finish this off with a tie here in LA. But my question is, do you consider the Dodgers and the Padres to be a rivalry? Is that a rivalry yet, or is it not?
I'll go first. It is now. Playoffs of last year, it became a rivalry, even though the Dodgers swept them the second Machado and Bazooka got into it. It was just automatic hatred from both sides. Folks that are on Twitter, they see these. I have a couple of friends that are Padres fans, so I won't call them dumb. But these particular guys that make these Padres videos about how the Padres are better than the Dodgers, those things, it's very, I don't know, it reminds me of this like Clipper fan mentality. But I do think it's a rivalry now. I pulled up stats, a bunch of stats, man. Since 1969, that's when they started playing each other. The Dodgers are 489 and 406. So it's almost 50%. They've won 55% of the games. Since 2000, they've only had losing records against the Padres 5 times. And they really dominated them in the 2010s. So yeah, it wasn't a rivalry. I still think the bigger rivalry is Giants Dodgers. But I think that, and they're playing really well too. They're in second place right behind the Dodgers, and they have not played each other yet this season. So I think the Dodgers are so good. They've got the team that's always hated them in the North, in Northern California, and the team that's always hated them in Southern California, lower than where we live.
Yep.
So I think it's a rivalry now.
Great points. I'm gonna say it's not a rivalry. It's a rivalry in the Padres fan base eyes. They're trying to work and get to the Dodgers level. So obviously, like San Diego, they hate the Dodgers, and like you just stated, from the Bay Area to below SoCal, LA is hated. Wherever they go, whether it's Lakers, Dodgers, beat LA. So I don't see it as a rivalry. I like the Giants as a rivalry, just with the hatred, the wins that the Giants have produced, the titles that they have produced as well. And just, as you said, Dodgers, Giants, just battling it out. So I don't take the Padres as a rivalry yet.
Man, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was going to say, what about you? We got like 5 minutes left.
Oh, we got 5 minutes? All right, cool. Yeah, I'm with Julian, man. So I respect what the Padres are doing. The pitching staff they put together, obviously Machado and Tatis, and even some of the other guys they have, but it's not a rivalry yet. I really hear all this stuff and, oh, this is a big rivalry now. Yes, they're definitely on paper the second best team in the division, but until they do something and win the division and make some noise against us in the playoffs, it's not a rivalry. What did we do to them last year in the playoffs? Broomstick. They weren't even close. The only game that was close was the first one, and we literally beat them by like 10 plus in both the games after. So to me, this isn't a rivalry until they start making some noise. I do get the fact that I think the Dodgers actually, as an organization, the players respect them too. Like you can see on the field, even this weekend, like Bauer was like, all right, Tatis, you hit those homers off me. Like, I respect what you're doing. He kind of does the same thing with his attitude and taunting players too. So from the players' standpoint, I know they respect each other, but to me, it's just not quite a rivalry yet until the Padres start winning.
But you guys don't think it's can't miss TV? The Dodgers against the Padres in San Diego last week, they reset their rotation to have their top 3 guys.
Oh, it's been the best thing on TV all weekend. For sure.
So I just don't think it was a rivalry until like now, till the playoffs of last year. But they're the chirping going on. It's definitely got that Giants Dodgers vibe, But I get what you guys are saying until the Padres can actually start beating them. Then maybe
they're still kind of little brother.
Yeah, I think, like I brought up the Clippers earlier to the Lakers. I just feel like the Padres are kind of, I feel like the Padres are going to be around for the next 10 years, man.
They will be for sure.
So,
True.
So yeah, either way, yeah, it's exciting.
But I think a good point too is like if you talk to Giants fans, they'd be like, "Well, we're the rivals. Like that's the NL West rivals."
Mm-hmm.
I think
agree.
Both you guys made that point for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with this moving forward. Obviously, they're definitely a threat to LA. I think right now we're obviously still on top record wise, but we still hold kind of the big brother advantage. So we'll see what happens. And we're looking forward to all those games. I think that kind of wraps it up here for this MLB edition of 15 minutes a game. So thanks for tuning in. Please check us out on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe there, and then also on Instagram, TikTok as well. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back with some more content for you.